Hello guys, welcome to another live stream by Super Sam. And today I will be live streaming yet another game with an online opponent. And this opponent is going to be a random opponent that I don't know. And I would like to share the tactics of aggressive defense and attack. In most cases, when you use these tactics very well, you should win 99% of the games most of the time, because your opponent would find it very difficult to read you. So I think it's better to just show you what this looks like in practice than waste everyone's time discussing this verbally. Quickly here, I'm just going to click on the play button to look for an opponent, and as you can see, I'm currently searching for an opponent at the moment. By the way, this account has been built to the rating of 846. I started out from 400, and I think we're doing well. So my opponent started out using the King's Gambit, and I need to respond, so let me just go with this. Now this is my move here. It's a defensive move. I guess my opponent is trying to process the next piece to move, and the knight comes out. Okay, so with this, I'm going to push my pawn on d5, because I know even if it captures with his pawn on e4, I can still recapture using my queen. So let me do that. And if I don't want to recapture with my queen, I can also recapture with my pawn on e6. So my opponent decides to be a big threat for me. I know this move so well, and the mistake he's making is that he failed to look thoroughly before making his move, because now I can see my queen has a direct attack on the knight, and I won't waste so much time to take out the knight, because knights are very dangerous. So that's an aggressive attack. Knights are dangerous. If you have any opportunity to take out your opponent's knight, please do, especially if you figure that the opponent is very good at making use of the knight. So from this position, my opponent played a sneaky move by pushing his pawn from d2 to d3. And by so doing, my queen is in danger. So I need to look through and see if I can make good use of the advantage. For now, I think it's safe to just put my queen on g6. Okay, so that would help me mount my attack. And then my opponent takes. And before I take again, I need to look through. So for now, if I take his piece back on d5, I'll be exposing my queen. I'll be exposing my king to attack from his queen. And I don't want that this early. So I would have to bring out, I think my knight should do it for me in this position. And at the same time, I'm preparing my king to have the option of castling when the time comes. Okay. So my opponent decides to capture. And now I can recapture using my bishop on c8. So he pushes further by preparing to challenge my bishop. But of course, I won't let that happen. So I need to protect and have an option with the knight. I suspect he's going to put pressure on my bishop and my knight by moving his pawn from d4 to d5. Oh, surprisingly, he opted to be a threat to my queen. So in this case, let me look closely and see if I have any other advantage by moving to a suitable position. Oh, fantastic. I just figured out one. And I use these moves most times too. Anytime you have your queen on the G profile, make sure you look out for the G2 spot. If it is free, it's a big advantage for you. So for now, mine is free, so I'm just going to take it. Boom. And the rook is in trouble, the king is in trouble, the king is in potential trouble. And from this position, I can force my opponent to give away his option of castling, because he would most likely move his queen away. He would most likely move the king away in order to protect his pawn on h1. But let's see what my opponent is going to do. Okay, so he decides to move the rook close to his king. At the same time, he had lost that option of castling kingside. It's a good one. And from this position, I can also take the pawn on h2 if I want to. But let me look closely again and see if I have a better option. Okay, I think it's a good time to take the pawn on d4 before it threatens my bishop and my knight. So that's what I'm going to do. Boom. So I'm waiting for the next move of my opponent. Okay, so now it wants to take out my knight, and I've been trying to be aggressively defensive before now. It's time for me to attack aggressively. And I'm going to start my attack by checking his king with my knight. So let's see what he's going to do. Okay. I love this opponent so much. I have a feeling he's so aggressive as well. So it's an opportunity for me to castle. I know my knight is safe because the king cannot take my knight since I have my queen covering up that space. So I'm just going to castle to bring my rook in the game. And this time around, I'm using my castling in the form of aggressive attack. As you can see, the bishop cannot leave that spot because my rook is going to smoke it. My rook is going to smoke his queen. So that's a good one. So he figured that out on time, and he had to block that space using his knight. And at the same time, the knight is also a threat to my own knight. But this time around, I'm going to be aggressively defensive by protecting my knight. So I should bring my bishop on g4. And at the same time, I can also be aggressive in my attack, because by the time I decide to take out his knight with my knight, his king will be on check and his queen will be in trouble. So this aggression is very deep. Very, very deep. My opponent is in trouble at this point. I don't know if he realizes that yet. In all fairness, I think he does because it's taking a bit too much time to think about how to respond to this aggressive defense and attack. I have a feeling my opponent is going to quit. I just have that feeling. Because most times I realize that opponents tend to quit when they lose their queen. And that's not a good way to play. That's not a good way to be a strong player. If you want to be a strong player, make sure you know how to play even without your queen. I don't resign until all hopes are gone. And I just hope this isn't the kind of opponent that stalls. Because some opponents can be very funny. They're going to stall the game until their time is up. And that's not fair enough. Okay, I'm happy he wasn't stalling. So the opponent decides to attack my bishop, having seen the threat the bishop carries. And in this case, I'm just going to give him what is called open reveal check. So I'm checking the king in both ways now. The first way is my bishop, and the second way is the new position of my knight. And I'm sure his bishop cannot just take out my knight because the knight is not the only piece threatening his king. So the king has to shift base and the queen is gone. Okay, like I said, the king has to shift base. So it's time to take out the queen. Thank you. So I expect you to quit now. Oh, brilliant player. Fine. So my bishop is gone, and definitely his piece is gone too. I can't take the rook from this point because of his knight on d2. So I need to be careful of that. So let's see what my opponent will do next. I'm looking at other possibilities before it's my turn to play. If I have my knight on f3, I can set a bait for him to swap knights because I think the position of that knight is very powerful. If I'm able to swipe knights, I can capture his rook on f1 and at the same time check the king, and that's probably game over. Yeah. Oh, I just saw his bishop. Oh, he has a bishop on d3. Okay, that move would not work. That would be me shooting myself in the foot. That wouldn't work. Another possibility could be, let me see, check round. Oh, my knight is in trouble. I need to browse through and see the next thing to do so I don't fall into the trap. Okay. I don't have any immediate good move for now other than trying to swap knight, so let me just go with that. So I'm going to change the position of my knight to f3 and hope we swap knights. So my next plan would be to get out. If he doesn't swap his knight, then I'll be looking out. I'll be looking out for his white bishop. Looking out for the white bishop. So if the white bishop leaves, his knight is gone because my rook can take the knight and still be protected by my own knight on f3. So my opponent saw that danger coming and decides to change the position of his king. So at this point, let me see. Okay, I think it's a good idea to build up double attack on a single profile. Yeah. Let me have my queen on d7 so I can double attack the bishop, the knight, and his king. So let's see how he responds to that move. By the way, I have the upper hand here because I decimated my opponent real bad. And of course, I'll give it to my opponent for being dogmatic. He didn't show any sign of weakness at all. And that's great. Okay, so it decides to take out my knight now, and forgetting the fact that I have my rook covering up my queen, so I can easily check his king that way and take out his bishop. Wow. I was hoping his king would go back on c1, but then not too bad. I can still cause damage from here. All I need to do is just check the king. So let's see what he's going to do now. All right, so he had to go back. What else can I do? Just check. And now his knight is gone. So one thing you should also look out for is how you can be very aggressive in your attack by trying to pin the king to your opponent's piece. So now in this case, I'm pinning the king to his knight. His knight just got smoked. Now the king is still running around. I love it when my opponent's king run around. So I'm just going to take the knight. And from here, winning this game becomes very, very easy. Fine. So it decides to trade rook. But for me, this is not a good idea because you can see my queen on f3, targeting the spot on d1. I think he just realized that and he had to quit. So I'm just going to explain this before I end the stream. You can see my queen is positioned in such a way that I can attack his rook on D1. My next move would just be to attack the rook on D1, and I'm sure he's going to retaliate using his rook on F1. And when he does that, I'll then capture using my queen. And that means my opponent has no rook to fight with. And that's an easy win for me. So anyway, finally I won the game, and I'm going to see you guys in the next stream. Currently, the account has been built to 858 because I just won 12 points by winning my opponent. Okay, so prior to this game, my opponent has a rating of 899 and I had a rating of 846. So by so doing, I have an additional point of 12, okay, to give 858 points. So I'm so excited about that. See you guys in the next stream. Super Sam Crusher still here with the vibes. Peace.